Greetings everyone. In this tutorial I want to talk to you about scheduling things in Act. So one of the great things about Act is it has a calendar and a task list where you can see things that you have scheduled with contacts inside of Act. So when you want to schedule something, there are two primary things that I recommend you schedule, either a phone call or a meeting. There's an option here for something called a to-do, but I don't use this only because I feel if something's worth doing, schedule it to be done. In other words, put it on your calendar. I think these are too easy to sort of just create a big long list, and a lot of times they never get done. So if something is worth doing, schedule it. Book the time either with the contact or book it with yourself. Having stated that, I'm going to come up and I'm going to click on call. So let's say we want to call this person Jordan. I'm going to click on this call icon and this schedule activity box comes up. Now this box is identical regardless of what type of activity you're scheduling, with the exception of here it says call. If you decide, hey, you know what, I didn't want to do a call, I really wanted to do a meeting or something else, you can do that. But I focus on calls and meetings because I think everything can fall within those two items. We have a lot of different kinds of meetings. It might be a Zoom meeting or some kind of online meeting, an in-person meeting. It could be a variety of things. But having stated that, when you click on this, the first thing that's going to pop up, because of the way I've set this up through some of the preferences, is the start date. So let's say the call is for the 14th. The next thing that's going to pop up is the time. So I'm going to click on 12 o'clock. The last thing that I have set up is what it's regarding. It might be regarding the proposal. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to click OK. Now, I want to draw your attention to this tab right here. If you're on a separate tab, for example, if you were on the Notes tab and you want to see everything that is scheduled with Jordan, you can click on Activities and see everything that's been scheduled and when it's due, or maybe if it's in the past. Now, one of the most important aspects of Act is this. When you schedule things and those things that you've scheduled are done, you want to clear those. When you clear something, it creates a record of that event and the outcome of that event. So here's a meeting that was in here, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to show you what it looks like to clear something. Now, actually, I said meeting, but this was actually a call. And by clearing this call, it is going to create a record or a history of the completion of this call. So we can either erase it, which I never recommend, unless it just never happened and you got to get it off your calendar. But you'll see where it says call completed, you can do call received, last message, attempted. I think that's a little bit of overkill. I just want to do completed, and I'm going to click OK. Now you'll see it disappeared off the activity. Now you can bring it back. You can see everything that was held and cleared if you want to through the options over here on the right where it says show cleared. I'm not going to do that here, but now that I've done that, it created a record or a history. The place I'm going to see that information is by clicking on the History tab. So I can see the history of what was done. This call was completed. Now, it backdated it to the actual date it was scheduled for, and that's okay. You know, we're dealing in a demo database, so on occasion we're going to see those things happen as I'm demonstrating this. But the Activities tab is where I can see, when looking right at a contact, what I have scheduled with that contact. Now, there's two other ways you can see all the things you have on your calendar or schedule. The first is over here on the left where I can click on Calendar. Now, you're probably used to this, but you can see the daily calendar, the work week, the weekly, or the monthly calendar, and decide what information you want to see here. So here is the call scheduled for the 14th, right there. Another way you can see it is over here on the left-hand side. There's something called a task list. And a task list is the exact same information you see on a calendar, but it's just laid out in a different format. That's all. So there's two ways you can see this information. You can also, with the calendar and the task list, filter down the types of things you see. So if you only want to see calls, you can see calls. If you only want to see meetings, you can see meetings. I've now filtered it to all. And if you have multiple users in your company, you can filter it down just for particular users. So these are all the things we have on the calendar. You can sort things on the task list by clicking on the top menu item where it says date. I'm going to click on that, and I've sorted it by date now. Okay, so it's just two different ways to see the exact same information, and it depends on how you're working. Maybe if you come in today and you want to see all the calls you have to make today, this is where I like to use the task list, and I'll go into this a little more detail later. But you can see all the things you've scheduled in multiple places. You can see it right on the contact on the activities tab. You can see it on the task list and on your calendar. So the whole idea behind the calendar is that things don't slip through the cracks. If you have a doctor's appointment, put your doctor in here. If you have, an appointment with a friend, put your friend in here and schedule it, especially for future things. That way you don't forget it. And in a different tutorial, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the value of the history and what it means to have that information inside of ACT and why it's important after things are done to mark them as being completed to get them off your calendar and task list. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye now.